Welcome back to the Open Mic Podcast. I'm your host, Noah Jones, and today I'm joined by probably the coolest girl that I know from Hawaii, Hawaii's homegirl, AlliCat.
Hey.
How are you doing today?
I'm good, Noah. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm sort of working on it, I guess.
Yes, this weather is crazy, right?
Yeah, I think I said in my head this morning, I was like, I'm so done with this weather, and at least it's not super slick like it has been in the past.
Right.
So I was able to walk comfortably.
Right,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, you've had a pretty busy end of the year, and sort of like up until this moment right now, we're in the middle of February. Talk to me a little bit about how everything ended for you.
2018 ended on a great note. Just getting music going here in the city and, trying to cultivate some things for the scene. I had an opportunity to open for Juicy Fruit right here in Mansfield. She's a Cash Money, Young Money, Rich Gang artist.
Oh, wow. That's a big deal.
Yes. Doing some great things in the South. And, she's come up to Ohio a few times and just moving around the Midwest. Really, really great person. So, having an opportunity to open for her right here in the city was a big deal. And then, like I said, down in Columbus, and you'll have to excuse me, I'm a little under the weather also, so trying to come through it.
Yeah.
But, great opportunity for me, and, definitely gave me an eye-opener to what a true independent artist, what the grind is like, seeing her out on the road with her small team, and, it was admirable, to say the least. In other news, as far as how the music wrapped up, I did close out the year with 272,000 streams alone just on Spotify. So that was a pretty big deal for me, just helping me kind of keep my goals going along and, in what I set out to do. So I'm excited about that for sure.
And that was one of the higher downloads in North Ohio, right?
Yes, as far as I know. Now, there were some, definitely some artists that published, in the millions of streams. Like, sure. We have Doughboy that works with Future. We have Machine Gun Kelly. We have Q Money that just made, a big entrance. So, a lot of the, Ohio-based artists are, definitely doing their thing. But I haven't really heard much noise from the female side of the house. So I definitely, it was an honor for me to represent that side on last year for sure.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about what that means for you. I think that's pretty impressive, but also maybe there just needs to be more women in the rap scene.
Yes, definitely. It's kind of funny because there's been some talk about, the better artists on the scene in Mansfield and in Ohio in general. When you think in Cleveland and Columbus and, some of the bigger cities, I can spout off a couple of, names of female rappers just, off the top of my head. For example, when you think Cleveland, you think Ricky Rich, J. Jig Cicero, Katie 380. When you think in Columbus, it's a couple of ladies. I can't really think of their names right now, but, they're definitely cultivating the scene out there. So I would like to, just keep pushing for Mansfield and hope that, we kind of build not only a bigger scene on the female side, but just, a scene in general, for the city. And, right now, just to, when we talk about Mansfield, some of the other female artists are Tika. She is part of The Cause. She's one half of that team. And then also Mega Mo, who is going to be an up-and-coming artist, up-and-coming female artist out of the city. So keep a lookout for her. And, in the meantime, I'll be holding it down as the other ladies come along. And, we're going to give them a good run for it.
Do you do anything in terms of being a leader or trying to get more women involved with the rap industry in the city, or maybe just help them out as much as you can?
I'm definitely open to, networking. Just to give an example, The Cause actually flew out to Hawaii a couple years back now. In one of their tracks, we actually used the same videographer who is a DJ Idea. So helping them to coordinate that and just, kind of being a tour guide, if you will, or just a place of point of saying, okay, this is a great place to stay, this is a good resource and things of that nature. I'm definitely open to that because I look for those kind of things too. I mean, it's so much easier when we as artists can come together and connect and collaborate and kind of use those tools and, to, kind of help build each other up. So definitely open to that.
That's great. So I've heard a lot of sort of murmurs or rumblings about how Columbus's rap scene is growing. There are a lot more open mic nights for rapping only sort of thing.
Yeah.
Has that spread up here at all, do you think? Is it getting better? Is it getting more populated up in Mansfield?
I would say that I would say no, and unfortunately, it's because of the safety concerns. One stigma that really kind of got under my skin when I came back home was that anytime you're looking to put together a hip hop show or a hip hop event, a lot of times venue owners will be a little closed to it or closed minded toward it, just because hip hop all of a sudden has come to mean violence or disturbance or loud and gang and all that good stuff. But I think over the last year, the artists that have been here cultivating the scene have done a lot to prove that theory wrong. Just as an example, I was invited to perform for the Democratic Women's Caucus just over at the Richland County, I guess the Democratic headquarters a couple nights ago. There was a Valentine Day jam over there, so I was asked to come over and kind of did a surprise show.
That's fun.
And it was definitely a different crowd. The Black History Month day at the library just this month, excuse me, it was a couple weeks ago. I was invited over there to perform a hip hop segment and kind of a little piece of that. So just and other artists like me are doing the same thing. The Mansfield Music Fest last year, there were tons of rock and roll and alternative bands, and then myself, The Cause, Kid Culture, and the Trio. We all kind of joined in, as the urban piece of that that show. So we just, as long as we keep making those those mile markers, I guess, if you will, and just making those strides to get a little bit better and to incorporate more into Mansfield and into the scene, I think it'll be accepted a little bit more along the way.
I find it very interesting in a good way that the different sort of genres of musicians in Mansfield are able to collaborate. It's not really the right word I'm looking for, but they perform together,
right,
sort of as you were saying. And I think that's great in multiple ways. Number one, because people who are into alternative rock could also get to hear you, and so you're getting the exposure into sort of different crowds of people. But I think it also just sort of shows that we're sort of an evolved
genre. Right, definitely. And just to kind of go off of that, I think the best example, and you kind of, I think you did a roundup of favorite tracks through the Richland source, and the favorite was the Coma Love and Taj Torrance track, and it's one of my favorites, definitely, and I think that's one of the greatest examples that we have here in the city. Before Taj did relocate to Atlanta, he worked with, I want to say he did a track with Dive Bomb also, who is kind of like on the rock and roll side of the house here in the city. Coma Love, they do a lot with, instruments, and, Alli with the violin, and, the pianist. And I mean, it's just a big mosh pit, I think, of just everything. And, I definitely want to get more involved in that and, just follow that example that they've put out so far.
Right. Well, so let's talk a little bit about what you've done a while ago, because in the video you're wearing a T-shirt.
Yes.
You released this song Wave. Talk to me a little bit about that song and, just what you were trying to do with that.
Well, the Wave track, it was a fun track. And it's one of the few tracks that I have left in my little arsenal that I was able to record out in Hawaii with Mo Love, the producer, before he passed away. Rest in peace, Mo Love. He was definitely one of the most influential people in the I guess the evolution of the beginning of what I would call my rap career. We recorded that track. It was a fun track. I went back and did some mixing and mastering with Bobby, my engineer, out of Kapolei, Hawaii. From start to finish, when Venomous sent me the beat for that track, he's a producer out of the Netherlands, the immediate hook that ended up being on the song, it just kind of popped in my head. Similar to Good Times, when he sent me that track, the hook came out, and then along the way, the verses were written, and it just kind of came together from there. But the song is pretty much just about riding a trend, being a part of what's happening, being in the in crowd, what's going on, and just setting yourself apart from that and being the trendsetter, being the one that the people want to follow. And as long as it's positive, then that's okay. They wanna ride my wave. 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 They was throwing shade, but I'm so cool, so it's nothing. This beat lit and I'm bumping. You old news, stop fronting. They wanna ride my wave. They wanna ride my wave. Yeah. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself why I do it like I do it. Why I do it like I do it. How I move in silence, but do it with precision in the middle of confusion. See, no matter where I go, heavy duty, keep it litty. Got the goonies rolling with me. So don't down my numb beef, your girlfriend missing when I come to your city. Kicking it, I stay getting lit. Got that hustle game by the boat. Looking way back with my dad, Bo Pro. Now I hang where they play in the Pro Bowl. Young and hard with an old soul. All that crazy talk, that's a no-go. I kills it if I'm in collabs or if I'm in the booth and I'm cooking it solo. Y'all wasn't trying to hit me. But see, now you got your speakers loud. Can catch a track if I wanted to. This shit, they booking me for features now. Merkin beats, Grim Reaper style. Thought I was done, I'm a keeper now. Got the labels on me, turning pages on me, turning tables, homie, you ain't sleeping now. They wanna ride my way. They wanna ride my way. They wanna ride my way. They was throwing shade, but I'm so cool, so it's nothing. This beat lit and I'm bumping. You old news, stop fronting. They wanna ride my way. They wanna ride my way. I said back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot, that's an understatement. Three things I can't understand. That's a liar, cheater, and an underpayment. Perfect placement, got the perfect timing. Ain't no reminiscence, so don't hit rewind. Cause you get the missing all the perfect pieces to this puzzle, man, and get left behind. You see, the haters ain't never really talking about no. Too busy capping, most times stunning. Alli over here, opponents getting money mission. When you just missing, ain't getting no money. Ain't kidding, you phony, stop stunning. Acting like you got the hustle in your stomach. When you the had to turn, you gon' learn today that when Alli say go, we coming. Bow. Came around my way. See, I've been trying to tell y'all. There's enough room out here for everybody. There's enough space out here to create your own lane. Make your own way. But check it out. If you wanna ride my way, let's go. They wanna ride my way. 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 They was throwing shade, but I'm so cool, so it's nothing. This beat lit and I'm bumping. You old news, stop fronting. They wanna ride my way. They wanna ride my way. Came around my way. They was throwing shade. Now they riding waves, cause they see I'm getting paid. Came around my way. They was throwing shade. Now they riding waves, cause they see I'm getting paid. Ride my way.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it goes back to definitely not being about violence, like we were talking about earlier. There are a lot of things you get to do that are not about horrible topics.
Yes. And I think, just going along and pushing myself and deciding to set, a different type of standard where, it's not necessary for, the more violent topics to be expressed, through my music. I'm kind of just, keeping it clean, showing everybody that, we can have fun, we can have a good time, and it doesn't always have to be about the bad stuff. So
you've created some new stuff, and I'm excited to hear you talk about it. Your new song is called Alli Be At It?
Yes. Alli Be At It is actually a revamp from, I got a new beat in from a new producer that I'm working with, a couple of new producers, Real Talk Beats, and also Luciago did it. They're a little bit on the higher scale. They work with a few different celebrities, so I'm trying to tap in and see if I can, get a little bit more up to date, with the beats. Before I was kind of going West Coast with it, because that's where I was, gave them a nice little boppy feel to it, but now I kind of want to go a little bit trap, so, just to kind of round out the hip-hop scene. So, I'm just going for a new listen with it, a new producer. I had a freestyle that I put out quite a while back on the Spam and Rice mixtape, and that's a mixed Hawaii based mixtape, and I dropped that, and when I heard this beat, I really found that the verses that I had for that other song fit really well into this track. So what I did was, I just did basically a recycle of an unreleased project, and it fit well, so we made it stick, and we came up with a catchy little hook for it. So I'm just hoping that everybody likes it when it comes out, and hopefully, we'll get the exclusive listen first. Full-time grinder, full-time daughter, full-time student, full-time artist, full-time sister, full-time job, and that's 6 right there. No time for drama, that's you. Don't keep it pushing, cause you don't want none of this here. But if you keep popping slick out your lips, I'ma bust in your wig, have you right in this whip. Woo! I ain't talking waves though, no Kanye, I don't do fake hoes. What I will do is sip a Mai Tai with a bad chick out the 808 though. And then it's back to work, I got things to do, man. You got me gas, but can't get me high. I just can't stop till I'm at the top, chilling with the bread when it's out AlliCat. I be at it. They be like Alli 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 Be At It. They be coming for you, man. Alli Be At It. They be like 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 Alli Be At It. No slack in this shit. Alli Be At It. They be like Alli Be At It. They be like Alli Be At It. Alli Be At It. Alli Be At It. I was out in Tennessee on the air mattress. Had to grind hard cause my dude was ratchet. So I asked God if he saw me through it, I'd keep it moving. No turning backwards. Kept pushing, kept grinding harder. Now I say Moana. Hitting them swords and I'm killing them commas. He hitting my phone, calling me from his mamas. But I'm ripping up shows at the Blaisdell Pro Bowl Stadium. Did that. No, you wanna see me shine, but I can't tell. That's why you never see me hanging at your kickbacks. Staying on my grind, got my checks up. This time next year it's gonna be insane. Gotta get it how I live by 2 more cribs. Putting one in my daughter and my daddy name. I be at it. They be like Alli 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 Be At It. Alli Be At It. They be like Alli Be At It. They be like Alli Be At It. Alli Be At It. Alli Be At It. They be like 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 Alli Be At It. Alli Be At It. They be like Alli Be At It. They be like Alli Be At It. Alli Be At It. Alli Be At It.
When will it be put out?
Right now, I'm looking to release it actually, as soon as it airs here on the podcast. It'll probably be out and up within the next 24 hours. So,
all right, and it'll be available on Spotify, everywhere, right?
Yes, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, iTunes, all of the above, anywhere you listen to music.
So we talked about your statistics on Spotify. Do you feel like that's the best place for people to listen to music now, or do you find people are doing AlliCat radio on Pandora?
I think it's a good balance. I definitely have more listeners turning into Spotify, and I think that's just because it's a little bit more accessible. That's what's kind of being promoted. Spotify just went public a little while back, so they're really doing a lot, with their marketing. So I think people are just kind of gearing toward the Spotify market. But AlliCat Radio on Pandora is still alive and kicking. It's getting a good rotation of spins. One thing that I didn't mention earlier, but one of my tracks called Studio Girl, it is rotating on Pandora, and it got picked up by Cardi B's radio station last year. So
wow, that's pretty cool.
Yes. I had to Instagram shout her out for that because it's definitely a blessing when you kind of get that that greater exposure. So it rotated, and it did really well. It did really
awesome.
Well. Thank you.
So did she tweet back?
No, she did not.
Well, that's okay. I tweeted at John Mayer the other day. He hasn't tweeted me back, so.
Not yet.
I guess I've got a way to work, I guess.
Right. We will be on their level one day.
Yeah, here's hoping. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, I think, just moving forward with the scene and, I just keep trying to push toward my goals, which is, to one day hopefully represent Mansfield, Ohio as, a platinum artist. And, I'm just looking forward to collaborating with other artists and getting back in the game and, hopefully, making some events happen, as well. Recently, I was in talks with a couple of promoters that, had a few good decent, violent-free venues going here at one point in time. So we're hoping to maybe put some things together and, do some great stuff here in Mansfield soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining the Open Mic Podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.